institutions are, by and large, have not allocated to Bitcoin. And yet it is a new asset class. And they have to consider the ramifications of that from a diversification point of view. Diversification into a new asset class that is not highly correlated with other asset classes, stocks, bonds, commodities, and others, usually increases returns per unit of risk, which is what allocators want. And the other thing I'll note is the number of Bitcoin outstanding right now is a little over 19.5 million. The maximum number we will ever see is 21 million. So this scarce asset is getting scarcer, and institutions have not even gotten involved yet in any big way.
But a big move from 16, 17, 18,000 towards the end of 2022, which was the annus horribilis for crypto. So, but I think the one thing I would just add on the Coinbase situation, everything's up. It's going to improve the staking on the altcoins, and there's huge margins in that. So even if they lose a little on the exchange traded funds, meaning some of their customers buy the ETF as opposed to just buying Bitcoin, natively on the exchange, they're picking up revenues from the whole lift in the overall market capitalization. As you see a swelling in Bitcoin, the grandfather of cryptos, it sort of spills over into the other assets. And so just what happens is you're making profits in Bitcoin, you start to redeploy them into riskier assets. And some of those assets are really not that risky relative to Bitcoin. As an example, Ethereum and Solana are probably now in that big boys club. And so, but listen, you stake with a place like Coinbase because it's safe, it's good, highly good regulatory process inside there. It's probably one of the best run cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, so you feel the safety there, and they do take a reasonable size of the profits as a result of that. And I don't think we should underestimate that, because to say that he was holding his nose is such a, he had like a vomit bag under the desk, like when he was like, so you were just such a nice person. But
trying to be polite.
What I would say is that he's up against it because he's lost several cases. He will. But
would it take another lawsuit to get there?
I think he will. I think he's decided that the powers that be politically in the elite don't like crypto. They don't like the energy around Bitcoin, and I don't think they want an ETF for Ethereum. And so that May decision, I think, gets pushed. I think it causes another lawsuit. He'll likely lose that lawsuit. And then you're coming up against the election. And so then the real question is, will Mr. Gensler in a new Joe Biden administration, will he be the SEC chairman? My guess is he probably won't be at that point.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And don't forget to join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we have Kathy Wood say the institutions, for the most part, are not even in. But guys, we know all the major corporations and big banks are definitely inside of Bitcoin and crypto. Remember, we only have a handful of corporations that own everything. We have trillion-dollar companies on the stock market. Guys, it's unbelievable. Now we have Scaramucci speaking of Bitcoin. And since FTX collapsed, we dropped down to 17,000, and we've been moving up ever since. And guys, we clearly see the Fed manipulation behind it every step of the way. The same way we see the stock market moving up for no reason, we see the Fed every step of the way. If you look at NVIDIA, the stock makes no sense. So I love NVIDIA, but the price that is at right now is all manipulation. And Scaramucci talks about Coinbase staking. And remember, guys, just about a year ago, the SEC said that they was going after the actual stakers. But like I told you, staking is going to be very important in the fourth industrial revolution. And we have Scaramucci speaking about Biden's new administration like he knows that Biden is going to be president again. I hope you caught that. But he stated most likely Gary Gensler is not going to be a part of the new administration. we know Janet Yellen and Gary Gensler are going to ride off in the sun because they did what they needed to do in order to get this economy moved over to the fourth industrial revolution and then also stalled crypto regulation. And Scaramucci is sticking with the 170,000 squeeze up. And do I think we can hit 170,000? Only if the Fed starts cutting rates and the emerging markets start flipping that switch. And we know they're going to flip the switch. We know the Fed is going to start cutting rates. So we don't have to guess. All we have to do is follow the Fed. And Gary Gensler yesterday stated that Bitcoin is not decentralized. Only a few hands that own it. And guys, we know who owns Bitcoin. These governments. Nobody talks about all that Bitcoin that China's government was mining. Just like no one talks about Bitcoin and crypto and then go into the fourth industrial revolution. They refuse to talk about the fourth industrial revolution because then they have to tell you that the robots, algorithms, and drones are about to take over the economy and the sheep are going inside the metaverse. And guys, every time you turn around, is layoff after layoff after layoff. Remember, we're in a fragmented world. They have to destroy this legacy market in order for the fourth industrial revolution to rise. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
I am sticking with that, but the typical thing, what I was trying to say in that podcast was there's a technical analysis that you can do over the past 14 years. The price at the time of the halving, if you multiply that by 4, that's typically where Bitcoin has run to in that cycle. And so I was just using a $50,000 number for April. So this could run up because there's a lot of momentum right now. You guys are seeing that the network is only producing 900 coins a day, and you've got 12 times the demand of that right now, which is why you're seeing a price squeeze to the upside. So I'm going to stick with that price prediction only because I think it's conservative based on where we are right now. And I think people need to understand, look at what happened to NVIDIA, look at what happened to Apple over the last decade, NVIDIA over the last 18 months. It's not impossible now that this asset has been regulated and has this regulatory ETF wrapper around it. Yeah. And remember, I've been on Wall Street. This is my 36th year on Wall Street. Wall Street sells product. Yeah. And, these products are sold and not bought. And you have armies of people now that are putting these products in people's portfolios. Yeah. And it's very limited demand for an asset like Bitcoin. So it's a really good question. Yeah. And so the skeptics are saying it's the whales. Gensler himself is trying to make the argument that it's a few people that control Bitcoin. We really don't see that. Over 70% of the holders of Bitcoin own less than one Bitcoin. But what I do see is continued adoption, and I see people like BlackRock and Fidelity adding it to their omnibus portfolios over time. And so I think this thing squeezes up, and the skeptics, particularly people that are on the short side, are going to have to get out of the way. Great question. I think the answer is it's a handful of them. But here's what I would say to my Wall Street contemporaries. It's a one-way ticket towards Bitcoin, meaning the more research you do and you go down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin to understand the network, the decentralized properties of the network, the immutability of the network, it becomes a very, very compelling thing. So if you look at a Paul Tudor Jones or a Stanley Druckenmiller, a Larry Fink is an example who was negative on Bitcoin 24, 36 short months ago, understood better what it was and then green-lighted the ETF. And so my prediction is as people understand it better, when I hear Wall Street executives railing against Bitcoin, my secondary question is how much homework have they actually done, or are they saying that because they are under the gun with regulators?
Post the 22 hire at any cost. So those are really the layoffs that you actually saw. It's pretty common for these companies to be laying off. They've just become obviously more vocal and louder in today's overall economy. And the market has really rewarded companies that announced layoffs. Not too long ago, layoffs were a sign of weakness. Now a layoff is a sign of a company getting their house in order.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.